Oh, dude.
Jeremy White on WGR, which is the big sports station in Buffalo, has said that in terms, when it comes to Jack Eichel, he's hearing days, not weeks, until he's dealt.
Ooh.
And Jeremy's
tomato.
If I'm negotiating with Kevin Adams, it's a prerequisite that I get this player before the expansion draft. I gotta be able to plan the future of my franchise, for God's sake. So it makes perfect sense that Eichel would be gone sooner rather than later.
I wonder who it's going to be too. Can we just do a random guess? Like, can everybody just pick a team and go, here's why I think? And like, it's not going to be a hot take. It's not going to be like Montreal will never win another game and I'll donate to charity if they do. I want it to be like, here's what I think the most likely destination is, and here's why.
Adam, you're freaking funny, man. I'm going to say Columbus.
Whoa.
Absolutely. Their name's been rumored. They have 3 first-round picks in a draft that very few teams value, but Buffalo does. I think that's also Buffalo just putting it out there. Listen, we want futures for this player. And also, you have a hard time attracting players. Columbus has a really hard time attracting free agents, and you need a number 1 center. This is legitimately a chance to change the entire course of your team. Columbus, like on defense, on the wing, in nets, like they got some really good pieces. There's a reason it took so long for them to really blow it up. I think they'll probably get Nick Foligno back.
Follow-up question as a part of this, Steve.
I'd say Eichel. Yes.
Does getting Jack Eichel lower Patrick Laine's price for re-signing? Because he's not the guy now.
I think it makes him feel better, and I think it makes him feel better. I wouldn't say it lowers the price.
Okay.
I our conversation a few shows ago. Laine's not going to be like, oh, I get to play with Eichel. Hey, you put your checkbook away. This is a chance for me to really do something here in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry. I would love to be romantic about that. I think he's still going to get his. I think he cost himself a bunch of money too. I know that's going against what I just said about Columbus. You have trouble attracting talent, but at the end of the day, they still run the show here. He's an RFA.
Jesse.
I'm trying to think of an outside team that might think they're ready to contend right now, and this is kind of the last piece. Like, I don't know if it's Philly, who says we had a bad season, but we were like 1 piece away from turning it around. If our goalie situation gets sorted out and we get this bona fide number 1 center, maybe we can go for it now.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna call me crazy, but something like the Montreal Canadiens.
Ooh,
get spicy.
For years, we've been saying you have all of this cap room and all of these assets. Go out and do something. Bergevin is just the guy to say, I'm gonna go get the big fish. All of these guys who are performing in the playoffs, their value is now triple because they're doing it in the playoffs. So why not? If anybody's going to sell, why not sell high? And if anybody's going to sell high on their guys, it's going to be a guy like Bergevin.
So Byron for Eichel, straight up,
straight up. That's it. One for one.
No, let's get nuts.
It would have to be Suzuki.
See, if we're just talking futures here,
maybe it wouldn't.
Like Montreal, so I was immediately my brain went to Cole Caulfield. Montreal would never do that.
No.
Suzuki, I don't think makes any sense for them either, because why not? Why not? In a summer where you're potentially losing Danault, it's way easier to stomach if you now have Eichel, Suzuki.
You lose Danault, you go out and get Eichel for maybe a Romanoff. Maybe you sacrifice on the back end.
You're not playing him anyway.
Right. Yep. We have enough matured talent we send off the young guy who's going to be as good as these guys in a couple of years, but we're trying to win now with this new center. I don't know.
Here's who I target. I'm looking at Alexander Romanov. If I'm Kevin Adams, I'm looking at Matthias Norlinder, who's another defensive prospect who's very well regarded in Montreal. I'm looking at Caden Primo.
That's who I would have thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There's a deal to be made there. They could do it.
They have enough pieces, right? Especially if they lose in this round, then it's like, okay, we're almost there. Like
Caden Gooley. There's another guy he's drafted last year. He's 19, defenseman.
Also, Seattle, like you were alluding to, Steve, Seattle isn't out of the question.
Nope.
No, the Seattle Skinner theory is ridiculous, I think. No one's taking on $19 million in a single trade. But there could be something there. And by the way, just hanging out on Montreal's cap friendly page, these guys are in the final four. They're 6 games away from the cup, 2 away from the final, and they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 picks in this draft, including 2 second rounders. Jesus! Really, really good season for Montreal.
Can I throw out one other team that seems
teams? Hey, how many teams are you getting here, man? Because I need to have some teams too.
I'm just spitballing, right? But one team that we've been talking about
the
for
Central
the last,
Division.
Yeah, like decade. Let's hit up the Central. Nashville. For the last decade, they've been looking for a number one center. I don't know their pieces. Like I don't have cap friendly open, but Nashville is always interesting because they haven't had a center in the last 400 years. So
I wouldn't put it. Yeah, since David Legwand left, I wouldn't put anything past David Poyle. I do want to say there's 2 teams. There's one that's obvious and one that I don't think is as obvious. Okay, first one, Rangers. Now the Rangers need a win. The Rangers need a win because they had a shitty season. They fired their entire management into the sun, and Chris Drury needs to change the conversation. The Islanders, who they beat for Panarin, are in the 3rd round of the playoffs. You think that's sitting well with Dolan and company? Don't think so. No. Don't think so. So they have got to have a win. They got the prospects and the players to do it. You can make it happen. Okay? So that's pretty cool. It's an enticing move. I wondered about the Washington Capitals. Now, I think that sounds crazy. They haven't really even been linked. But what if, because I believe that they're looking to move on from Evgeny Kuznetsov. That's the rumor we've heard. If the Sabres were able to get an asset like Kuznetsov back, so you save $4 million in cap or whatever is 3.5, right? Because I think Kuznetsov makes what, 8.5, 9? And then obviously the Caps are going to re-sign Ovechkin. And it probably helps you if you say, listen, Alex, we're going to bring in Jack Eichel. He makes $10 million. Okay. Can you, because you've made your money and you've said that money doesn't matter. Can you take a little bit less, you and Backstrom, Eichel and whoever, and we're going to have another couple serious runs at this thing. That's a pretty good sales pitch to Alexander Ovechkin, is it not?
It is. I like it. I don't know if it's
a perfect fit, but I don't
know if it's feasible.
I think you could do it. Because I think if you're the Sabres, you probably move Kuznetsov. Like if you're going to get him back, Kuznetsov plus, you move Kuznetsov to somebody else's.
Yeah, because he doesn't fit the plans for the Sabres.
Right, but it still gives you the asset you can move.
The interesting thing there for Washington is as long as you have Alexander Ovechkin and Nicholas Backstrom and TJ Oshie and John Carlson, I just don't think you're ever going to rebuild or even retool. You got to load up. Every year you got to load up. So I don't know if it's Eichel, but you got to swing for the fences for at least, I would say, the next 3 years.
So if you've got to move on from Kuznetsov, which they seem like they're talking about wanting to do, that's a good fit. And then if you're Kevin Washington. Adams, yeah, I think so. And then you double deal. Kevin Adams, call Columbus, call Montreal.
And offer him Kuznetsov?
Yeah, give me a first round.
Because I was going to say, Kuznetsov, extremely talented. Buffalo needs a complete culture reset.
Yes, and Kuznetsov wouldn't fit that, I wouldn't think.
I don't think so.
What I'm saying is if you're Kevin Adams, you have a 3-way deal basically lined up.
New York, so many enticing pieces. Lafreniere is, if I'm New York, I don't. Capo Caco, 2nd overall pick, who's been a little bit disappointing. Philip Hedl, who's an RFA. I don't think they let him go either, but you never know. Keandre Miller is a really interesting piece at 21. Adam Fox is not going to happen. That dude's nominated for the Norris. It's not going to happen. One of the goalies, Georgiev, I might look at, because you're not going to get Shesterkin. And if I'm the Rangers, I make you taking D'Angelo a prerequisite for the deal. There's something there. There's definitely something there. Oh, my God, they got 4 guys on dead cap. Sorry, what?
I mean, there's been something there for a while.
Yeah. And by the way, Steve, you just talked about culture and you mentioned Anthony D'Angelo. Oh, no, I know. But you try to trade him too. That's New York going hot potato, giving you that. Listen, if we're going to take this player, you got to take this player. Plenty of teams around the league. I wouldn't be surprised to see that trade drop just after the show was posted.